Hey everybody, how's it going? Troy and Tyler here again. Hope you guys are enjoying your holiday. Uh, MLK Day today, and Tyler, we were just talking. Uh, Man, you want to talk about a man at war? MLK was definitely that man. He stuck to his values. He stood up for what he knew was right, and I don't. As a kid, when you learn about MLK, I don't think I really fully understood, and I didn't really appreciate how big his stance was and how impactful it was. But obviously now in my adult life, like I'm amazed by the courage he had, and again just how he lived his life and his just his ability to stand up for what he believed in is just so admirable to me. So I appreciate that our country recognizes MLK Day. He's an amazing man from what I know of him, and I'm really thankful that we get to
Absolutely.
celebrate him today.
That's exactly right. Down where, I mean, he stood his ground down where you're at right now.
I know.
And I'm really, really happy, happy Martin Luther King Day to everybody. Again, like Troy said, somebody stood his ground, stuck by his faith, you know, and really just really overturned this entire country in terms of doing the right thing. And it's just amazing to see. So, yeah, happy MLK Day, everybody.
Yeah, and Tyler, we've talked about this. Just being military law enforcement, just having that servant heart. And again, when I look at MLK's life and just his selfless giving of his time and his energy, and his family was under attack at all times. And he just said, you know what, I know it's right, and I'm not going to back down. And man, you talk about a guy that just stepped up and led, and
Yeah.
that's a leader putting other people before himself, and I appreciate that about him. And again, it's just what an honor that
Yeah.
our country is in the spot today, that it is because of him.
That's right.
Again, just appreciate him for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for kicking us off with that. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, what a cool day to launch a video on MLK Day.
Yep.
So it's awesome. And got another big day today too, Tyler. You're pretty close
Yeah.
in location to this one, but we got inauguration day today,
Yep.
and
That's right.
it's a huge day for our country, welcoming in a new president and I kind of wanted to just kick off with, there. I'm not sure what everybody's political views are on here, but put political views aside. No Democrat, no Republican. It doesn't matter, guys. I'm a true believer, and you pray for your president. You rally around your president. You support your president, because we need our president, guys. They're leading our country, and our country really needs a strong leader, and we also need really strong followers right now. And I think this will be a unique time where we could all really rally as a country. And again, you know, not pitching any political view here, but if you can just find it in yourself to rally around your president, and you don't have to agree with everything, you don't have to agree with all of his policies, you don't have to agree with his life, but just recognize he's in the spot he's in, and so it's our duty to support him the best we can. So from a faith perspective, I would just encourage you all, continue to pray for our president, continue to pray for his family. Again, his family gets drugged through. They sacrifice time with him. They sacrifice a lot, and so I ask you guys, just continue to pray for our president and his family.
I echo that as well from a faith posture is whoever's in office, left, right, conservative, liberal, I want that person to succeed. I want that person to succeed for our country. This is the leader of our country. So pray this week, pray continuously for the leaders of our country that they morally, ethically do the right thing for our country, whoever's in office. By the time this launches, this video episode launches, I will be in DC for work for the week. So yeah, pray for me as well. I'm going to be in DC, and so just pray for my safety and everybody there, and that again, from a faith posture, not pitching politics, but we just want safe politicians and doing the right thing for our country.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tyler, what a cool opportunity for you to be there.
Yeah.
I would encourage you to just, when you're around and going to your meetings, when you're in the city, just keep pouring prayers over that whole city. Just pray for that city. There's so many decisions made there, so many influential people that are there, and just what an opportunity. Like, how cool that you're there and you can literally, push out prayers right there where everything's happening. So that's awesome, man. I love it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I will. I most definitely will. And like you said, there's a lot of shot callers in DC, and so although I'll be there for work, I'm not obviously a politician or anything, but I will be praying for each one of those people, their souls, their families, and everybody, again, just to do the right thing for our country from that faith posture. So
yeah. You said you're not a politician, but who knows? Maybe we'll be there in a couple of years. Maybe we'll see old Tyler Patton. Throwing on the suit and heading up to the hill.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Man, Troy, this episode right here, I am so pumped for. This is the one when you and I first started, just individually, just connecting with different veterans and people within our circles, and started talking about, gosh, it'd be nice just to get a bigger broadcast of a message, so it's not multiple text messages or emails or different things here and there, just to collectively be able to put something out there. So this episode is the one I'm most pumped for, man. This is exciting. We talked about, just as a general overview, we talked about the armor of God last week, and now we're diving in really specific in each piece in Ephesians, the letters that Paul wrote to the Ephesians while he was in jail. And so I'm super excited. You introduced Ephesians really to me, Ephesians 6. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, you're right. We've been talking about this for a long time. This has been a staple for you and I, just again with the law enforcement, with the military, the special forces background. I think that's why it resonated so quickly with us. And when you and I first started talking about it, as soon as I was like, Tyler's just like, I was explaining the armor, and you were like, holy cow, like this is. So yeah, this has been impactful. And guys, last week we challenged you. Tyler and I both challenged you. Hopefully you guys were able to accept that challenge. Hopefully you got in Ephesians 6, started reading verse 10. We read through 17, highlights why we use that armor. It highlights that the enemy's after us. The enemy wants to steal, kill, and destroy. And then it lists out every piece of armor for us. And that stops in 17. And then we're going to close today's episode by going what the last step is once you have all that armor, which is a piece that often gets overlooked. Tyler, we were just talking about that. It often gets overlooked, but we're going to kind of end with that and just drive that home. But yeah, so hopefully this week you got in Ephesians a little bit and got yourself familiar with the armor. And then, as Tyler said, this week we just wanted to spend some time going piece by piece, and really I just want to show you. I talked last time a little bit about praying over it and what it looks like for a morning routine. So I really just wanted to share that with you guys of this is how I'm applying it. This is what it looks like for me. And guys, I hope when you hear this, I want this to be your own prayer, obviously. So take your experience, take the challenges you've gone through, take however the enemy might be attacking you is going to look different than what it looks like for me and Tyler. And how you put that armor on and what you're fighting off might look a little different than ours, probably will look different than ours. But again, if you can get the concept And if you can get in the routine, that's going to be the biggest too. Would you agree, Tyler?
Yeah. The spiritual reps, getting in those spiritual reps every day, just like growing a muscle. You have to do it every day.
Yeah. So that's the goal here. We're going to give you what the armor is. We're going to get you kind of in the thought process of what a routine will look like for you and what's going to work for you. And then really just make it personal as you're putting that armor on. Just, give the challenge that you're going through, give it to the Lord. Give the armor that you're putting on, give it to the Lord. Let him know what he's helping you fight the enemy with or against. So super pumped about it as well. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. But here we go.
Yes.
All right. So I mentioned last week, I'll kind of just pick up from there. I don't put the armor on as the scripture lays it out. And I do that just because when I made the switch of like, hey, I need to be putting this armor on. This armor is alive and is there for me to get ready for battle. Like once I made that clear in my mind, I took it to an operation perspective, or I keep saying operation, but even training. Like think about all those reps you did training for time in the military, time in law enforcement. You're just constantly doing workups. You're constantly putting your kit on. You're constantly getting ready. So when I think op, that's what I'm thinking. Any preparation, anytime you put that kit on. And so when I realized I need to put this on every day, I just thought easiest way for me is like I'm going to pretend like I'm getting ready for an op or a training exercise. So I just go from the ground up. And Tyler, I think you have the document in front of you, and I kind of wrote this 3-page document, and it's just what we're going over here. So I think if anybody is interested in seeing that, you guys can comment below. Get us your email address, and we can send you a copy of that. So Tyler, if there's anything you want to highlight throughout this, feel free to interrupt me or highlight anything. So
I for sure will. I will say again, just to reiterate, if you do want this document, it's amazing. I have read through this countless times, and from a spiritual, physical repetition, getting that prayer, getting this, I guess that visual and physical, mental kind of connection to be able to put this all together is huge. So reach out to Troy. It's a phenomenal document, and I love it. So this is the one I'm most excited about, like I said. So
yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're just going to jump right into it, guys. So I challenge you again, put on the armor and pray over it first thing in the morning. So like I said last time, before my feet hit the ground in the morning, I go ahead and pray, and I put my armor on so that I don't forget. So for me, working from the ground up, I just go, all right, Lord, today I put on the gospel of peace. I act like I'm putting my combat boots on. I act like I'm lacing up my boots, and I just say, I have the gospel of peace today, so I can stand as soon as I hit the ground. I'm ready for the day. I have peace. I don't have to wake up with anxiety, with fear, with depression. I'm standing in the gospel of peace. I'm rooted. I got my boots on. I just tied my laces. Like, I have peace now. I roll right up to the belt of truth. And this is a big one because one of the biggest things I struggled with when I left the military was loss of identity. I left Special Forces as a SEAL, and I had so much identity in that, and I didn't realize how much I had in that. And so I didn't know who I was next and who I was called to be, and I kind of lost sight. And so this one is really impactful for me. But the belt of truth, I mean, that could be so many things from our time. I think, your Bianchi belt, your big leather belt that has your sidearm attached to it. That's where my applicable mind goes of like what our combat gear looked like. I think of a helo lanyard of clipping into a helo platform so you don't fall out of a helo. Like, so the belt of truth. When I wake up, I say, Lord, I'm putting on the belt of truth. I'm standing today in the name that you've given me. And throughout the Bible, guys, God gives us so many amazing names. Like, and my favorite is I'm a child of God. And
Yeah,
when I put that belt of truth on, I say it every morning, Lord, I'm a child of God. Like, and I can stand knowing that's the truth. It's not, it's not the name the enemy gives me. It's not, uh, you know, whatever it may be. I'm not a failure. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not, I'm not an addict. Whatever it is, I'm a child of God, and I can stand in that. We're called to be the light of the world. We're called to be the salt of the earth. So I stand with the belt of truth buckled around.
that's your truth. That's your identity right there. Your identity in Christ.
Yep, that's it.
Not all the things that Satan, the devil is telling you. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Like you said, that's your identity. It helps resonate right there.
Yeah, and he's again from the minute we wake up, he's trying to put those names back on you. Like the enemy doesn't want you to forget those names. So, like he wants that fear, he wants that depression. He also wants to start putting the names on you. Nope, you name it. You're an addict. You're an alcoholic. You're a fake, a fraud. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's what this armor is defending, guys. I hope you understand that. This is why we're putting it on, because you're setting up your morning. You're saying, nope, this is who I am. So, gospel of peace, belt of truth. You got your names, and then I go right to the kit. I go breastplate of righteousness next, and this one is big for me because I just pray when I'm putting that kit on. And again, I talked about it last week, but if you've ever had a 30-pound kit, 35-pound kit on your shoulders, you know what that weight feels like. You can close your eyes and you can think about what that weight feels like. Again, what that Velcro sounds like, and like, why do we carry our breastplate with us? I mean, how many vital organs does our breastplate protect?
Exactly.
Almost all of them, right? On our torso. That's what's protecting our heart, protecting our lungs, protecting any vital in there. So when you think about the breastplate of righteousness, it's protecting a lot, right? And that's a big one for me. Of like, Lord, I'm putting on the breastplate of righteousness. It's protecting my heart. It's protecting my soul. Let any evil desire I have in my heart, anything taken away from you, just let it be protected by that. Let me be more righteous. Let a little bit of myself go, let all myself go, and let me be filled with righteousness.
That breastplate of righteousness too makes me think of military LE type training. Is it like Troy said, protects all your vital organs, but also as you were talking, it also makes me think of the training that we've gone through. Is that breastplate, that kit, that Kevlar vest, whatever it is, it teaches you to confront the enemy head on. You don't enter a door with your side showing. Everything you do is straightforward to the enemy, because that is where your most protection is. And so when you gauge in a spiritual sense, you're going face forward. You're heading it on. You're just straightforward, head on, and you're confronting the enemy head on. And there's more pieces obviously to talk about, but it just, as you were talking, it just made me think of that we don't sidestep in a door through CQB or whatever with exposure. Everything is face forward, and that's the approach I want to take to the devil every day.
Wow, that is good. We've never even talked about that. That just came to you. That's
as you were talking. As you were
amazing.
talking, that breastplate of righteousness.
What a great point. Yeah, keep that plate forward. That's great.
Yeah,
protecting your vitals in there, protecting the heart, the soul. Keep it facing the enemy.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so we got gospel peace, belt of truth, breastplate of righteousness. My bump helmet goes on next. So I take my helmet of salvation, I put it on. Another huge one, guys. This is the enemy in our veteran community, in our law enforcement community, and men in general. I've seen time and time again when things start going south for guys, it's all right here. It's in their head. The enemy gets in their head before he gets anywhere else. So this is a huge one. The when you put that on, I say first thing of just, Lord, use this to protect my mind. The enemy, no matter what he says about me, I don't let it in my head. The enemy has no control over my head, and I just surrender that to him. I remember the feeling of putting the bump helmet on. Same thing, putting the strap on. As soon as that buckle clipped, like, you know how close you are to go time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. My take on it as well is you're putting on that helmet, right? And part of it for me is, yes, it's a lot of it to me is protecting the mind at its core. And I know for me, previously in the past, I think one of the hardest things was when you start to have those seeds planted in your mind that there's no hope, there's nothing else to live for, and you start to these ideas start to churn in your head, and you start to think, gosh, like, what else is there? And it gets harder and harder to get those thoughts and things, those voices out of your head. It's kind of a dark place. And so for me, thinking about the helmet as well, it's what I'm taking in visually, it's what I'm taking in auditorily, whatever, but trying to be very, very conscious, like we talked about the last podcast, but if you're watching online adult content, what kind of music you're hearing, what kind of movies you're watching. I'm not saying you as a grown adult you have to watch a PG movie for the rest of your life, but just be very conscious about the things that you're taking in, because they do settle into your mind, and if you're not conscious about it, you're not deliberate, it can be a dark place. So for me personally, I know that I try to be, at least. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying more and more every day to be more deliberate about putting on that helmet, because I know what enters my mind, and as a little seed, and it grows. And if I start feeding it, and I'm not conscious about that helmet, it leads me down some bad paths.
Yeah, and that's the name of the helmet is the helmet of salvation. And so as the enemy is trying to attack your mind, what a great reminder of where our salvation is, right? And we don't have to turn to these worldly things. Jesus paid the price for us. We have our salvation, and that's just what a great reminder.
Yeah.
So put that on every morning, and don't let the enemy get in your head. The enemy cannot get in your head. So we'll just keep highlighting all these areas. I like going back and recapping as we go through. So gospel peace, belt of truth, breastplate of righteousness, helmet of salvation, and then we go shield of faith. And Tyler, I actually love this one, because when we first started talking about this, I was really focused about, in Ephesians 6 it says you have the shield of faith that can extinguish flaming arrows from the enemy, and I get so pumped up when I literally get pumped up. I'm like, visualize that, guys. Like, literally, this is our God in heaven saying, hey, I gave you this armor, you can extinguish flaming arrows. Like, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna do that then. Like, I'm gonna say, no, enemy, like, you can hurl that at me, you can bring that to my family, but I'm just gonna hold my shield up and I'm gonna resist you. And that's it. It doesn't get much cooler than that, guys.
Yeah, right. The visual of that, and again, I really hadn't jumped into a lot into Ephesians until really recently, but yeah, when you picture that, you're like, man, God has gifted us all of these things, all of this defensive, pieces, and yeah, you talk about the shield of faith, and you're like, oh my gosh, man, that's crazy to think about. That's wild to think about.
It is, and again, when I look at my old mindset of just when I looked at that, I'm like, it's just this armor, just a metaphor. Like it's just a, doesn't really exist, it's not applicable today. It's just something we read about. And I'm telling you guys, here's the challenge of the week right now. Like, the challenge of the week is when a situation's not going great this week, think about that. Think about the shield. Literally hold the shield up. Just hold your hand up like you got a coffee mug. That's how they would hold their shields, like they're holding a coffee mug. Hold it up this week and just feel the power. I'm telling you, you guys might think I'm crazy, but you'll feel the power.
Engage in it. Engage it in a physical sense.
Yeah. It'll change everything. You'll start feeling the Holy Spirit move in you, and proudly hold that up, guys.
Yep. Amen,
but
brother.
where I was going, I have always been like so pumped about that defense for yourself side of the shield of faith. And I don't know if you remember this, but early on, Tyler, you brought up, you're like, not only do you hold that shield up for your faith, or the shield of faith for yourself, but when you're right and you've got your armor on, what else can you do with that shield? And
you can help somebody else.
That's right, brother.
Yep.
When
Shield your brothers.
you brought that up one day, and I hadn't even thought about that. When you look at, again, our background that we come from, how huge is that? If your buddy's down and he's lost his, he can't shoot, and he's got a jam in his weapon, what do? We run over to that guy and we lay down cover fire for him, right? Or if he's hit, he's injured. So yeah, why don't you expand on that a little bit more? Like when you brought that up of holding it up for your buddy, for your teammate, like that's huge.
We're called to help out our brothers in Christ. That's every child of God, not just the believers, not just, oh, that guy's a Christian, so I got his 6, It's everybody. If you are strong enough and you are strong enough to pick up your own shield, and you have somebody in your life that is struggling, they're not strong enough to pick up that shield, be that defensive option for them. Your shield can help cover somebody else. That's the whole point of like, hey, when you hear somebody say, like, I got your 6. And if in a worldly sense, yeah, you're protecting somebody else, right? In a spiritual sense, you're literally picking up that shield in a spiritual sense, and you're figuratively, literally, whatever. Like Troy, you said, you're picking it up and you're helping somebody else. Even if it's just, I was at dinner last night talking with somebody, and he's going through seminary, and we were talking, and there's tough conversations, or you're going to come across people that don't believe in God, whatever, but those are still people you have to protect. I mean, whether they want it or not. And so, but going back to it, like if you have folks in your life that are just not quite there, like, be that shield for them, help them. So, yeah.
And I think you brought up a good point of that can look different for a bunch of different relationships. There's really no script for that of what we're saying. I look at how many times, Tyler, you and I have texted each other when we can just tell the other guy's having a bad day. We can tell his day is off, and we say nothing else other than, hey man, I'm praying for you. And then what do we always challenge each other? Hey, put on the armor today. Like,
yeah,
that right there is lifting up the shield for your buddy. Like, we do that all the time to each other.
Perfect example.
Hey man, put on that armor. Maybe it looks a little different. Maybe you have a good friend. Hopefully you're in the same city as your swim buddy, and your buddy's not doing good. You guys go out to coffee. Say, hey man, meet me for coffee, or let's go out to lunch. Let's talk about it. Pray with that person. Give your brother a hug. Pray with him over lunch, like a phone call, whatever it might be. Like, it can look different, and there again, you guys customize that. You customize what it looks like to hold the shield for somebody else. But just know that's there.
You bring up a great point, that the days where maybe I'm even reluctant, right, to even pick up that shield, I'm wrapped up in my own worldly stressors and whatnot. And yeah, you can tell in text message, I'm just like, hey, maybe it's a real short text message or whatever, and I get the text message back, it's like, hey, praying for you, stay on that warpath, keep praying, pray for me, I'm praying for you. And it's like, it just helps that other person kind of step back and be like, okay, let me recalibrate and re-engage in this whole situation, because I can pick up my shield, I got this. And that right there, I mean, that's a great example.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sounds so basic, guys. You're probably sitting there thinking, man, does that really work? Like, Tyler and I will sit here and tell you, like, we're not joking. Like, it has worked, and it's worked so many times for us over the years.
Yep.
And I would go out and say that it works quicker and quicker every time, because of how long we've been doing it now, that it's like, there's no hesitation anymore. If I get a text from you, like, stay on the warpath, like you text me that one a lot too, stay on the warpath, and I'm like, I'm literally ready to, like, go out to an actual war, like, when I get that text from you.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, yep,
Yep.
it's go time.
And I don't want to digress too much from the the shield of faith, but when I do text, like, stay on the warpath, it really truly, it's like I'm trying to put myself in that position as well, and bring you to that position as well. As if you're on the warpath, you're not lackadaisical. You are picking up that shield of faith. You are putting that helmet of salvation. You're doing all those things because you're actively, everything in your body is geared towards that. So it just kind of puts you in that mindset, that constantly there's a spiritual warfare going on.
Yeah. All right, that was a good one. So we had, going back through again, guys, gospel of peace, belt of truth, breastplate of righteousness, helmet of salvation. We got the shield of faith up. Now we go, those are all defense, and now the one offensive we have, sword of the Spirit, right here, guys. And over my years, over the last few years, I've just learned to absolutely cherish this. This is our offensive weapon, and this just means so much to me here over the last few years. Kind of get emotional thinking about it, but it's man, this is powerful, guys. If you can commit to this and really dive in, get in the Word, put this armor on, the sword of the Spirit, the Scriptures, it will absolutely change your life.
Bingo.
It will change your life.
When the family and I came down to visit you guys, was it last summer before, when we were driving through and we stayed with you guys for a week, and of course, like, I was just kind of like in the infancy stages of really coming back to my faith, but every morning without fail, I looked outside, you were sitting out on your front porch with a cup of coffee, and you were sharpening that sword, man. Every day you were sharpening that sword, diving into the Word, and at the time I was like, gosh, man, I really need to start that habit. Not just, maybe I was lackadaisical and thought about it, but I was like, I really need to start that habit, just diving in every day, et cetera, et cetera. But now that we're talking about Ephesians, you're sharpening that sword every day, and that's what's so cool about it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you saw that, because I mean that helps let the audience know, like, it's a real deal. Like, we're not just saying this. Like, for years now, I've changed my routine to where it is just that. When I make my first cup of coffee, I go get my Bible, and it takes a pretty substantial event to happen in our life to where I'm not doing that now, just because I have seen how it has changed my life doing that. And so I would encourage you guys, don't wait any longer. Like, this is the week to start it. Do it. If you didn't do it today, you got tomorrow to start it, and don't give up. It doesn't have to be some in-depth crazy amount of time, but if you can just pick up the sword of the Spirit here and just let the Scriptures that need to be put on your heart that day, just they'll come to you. You'll read a passage and it'll stick in your heart if you're open and you're reading for the right reason.
Yeah.
Don't read just to check the box. I got in a bad habit of just reading scripture to check the box and say, yeah, I read the Bible today. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Let it penetrate your heart. Let it move you, and let it fuel you up. The other thing I love about the sword of spirit is it's an opportunity to share that scripture with others. So not only does it build you up and encourages you, you have your armor on. Now it's time to go share a scripture with a buddy, or maybe it's not a buddy, maybe it's a stranger, and it's just such a powerful. This is our only offensive weapon, and it is so powerful that you can use it for yourself, you can use it for others. So I would just challenge you guys, get in the Word, and just start letting it transform you.
Yeah, I love it. It feels like, and again, I don't really, I'm not, some theologian here, but it feels like everything, all the pieces we've talked about today, so much are the defensive options, the defensive, weapons that we have. And this is the one really the offensive weapon. And it's a double-edged sword. It's for you, it's for somebody else. So jump in, and you don't have to start with, Genesis today and finish with Revelation in a week. You just take your time. I was doing Bible in a year. I was listening to Bible in a year, and that really, really helped me because, like a lot of folks, right? You have commutes to work or whatever, and at least for me, that helped too, just time management wise, and just jumping in. And it's just a really cool community of folks that people that are jumping into that. You're able to talk about it, and it's just kind of a cool concept. But this is the offensive weapon. Prayers flow out of here. All the gospel reading, everything just kind of flows out of here for what you hear at church, and the structure of where you go to church. It's the offensive weapon.
Yeah, it sure is. So yeah, we'll finish up with a recap here. So again, just hitting all the pieces, just so the more you can repetition of that, you're just building that. So gospel of peace, belt of truth, breastplate of righteousness, helmet of salvation, shield of faith, sword of the spirit. You got the armor on. I told you at the beginning we were going to cover one last piece that I think Ephesians 6:18. I think a lot of people kind of look over this or don't show much importance to it, but I just want to go ahead and read the passage. It finishes up 18 through 20, but it talks about the next step after you already have the armor on, and it's going into praying. So it says, verse 18, and pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. Pray also for me, that whenever I speak, words may be given me so that I will fearlessly make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains. Pray that I may declare it fearlessly as I should. And man, guys, when I look at that, there's some bold calls to action there. Praying all prayers, all requests, pray at all times, pray for all people. And then the last one says, I'm an ambassador in chains for this, for the gospel, and just pray that I declare it fearlessly. So there's a lot in that last passage. So that's kind of the next step, though. Once you've got that armor on, now you just start praying. Now you just say, hey, enemy has no hold on me. Now I'm going to pray for everything. I'm going to pray for every person I come across. I want to share the gospel. I want to spread it fearlessly.
Yeah, bold prayers, man.
What a call right there.
Literally gives me chills.
I know.
Literally gives me chills.
Yeah.
As you're reading that out, it gave me chills, and it makes me think too. As you're reading that, even praying for your enemies. Like Troy and I talked about in the very beginning. Not to circle back to the very beginning of the video and get too much into it, but despite who you want in office for the presidency of this country, pray for that person. We want that success. We want that. This is our country. We want it to be as successful and coming from a faith lens. And so, yeah, I pray for whoever's in office, and pray for your enemies. I know the times where I'm really stubborn. I'm like, gosh, maybe I get cut off in traffic or whatever, right? My visceral gut reaction is probably like the majority of people, right? And you want to flip that person the bird, maybe scream some curse words or whatever. But there are times where I just have to take a step back. I'm like, you know what? I pray for that guy. He's obviously he's in a bigger rush than me. And that was not the case 20 years ago, 10 years ago. I promise you that. It'd take a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of repetition.
Yeah, this has been a work in progress for both of us. That's for sure. So, guys, hopefully this encourages you. Hopefully it fires you up. Tyler and I get really fired up about this. So, challenge of the week: put on the armor every day, get in the Word every day, and then physically. Remember, like I said about that shield of faith, hold it up when something happens this week and you feel like it's not going your way, or you get bad news or get cut off in traffic. Hold that shield up and just say, nope, not letting it happen. So I hope you guys are encouraged. Hope you're fired up about this. Please share this, get it out there with all your buddies, because man, this will be life changing. You start doing this. Tyler, you said it a couple weeks ago. You've said it every video. Like, watch. It's not if. Watch how your life changes. Your life will change. I was going to say, Tyler, why don't you close us with? You told me the story about McKenna.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how cool! This is such a cool opportunity, right?
So, last week we did high-level introduction, armor of God. We talked about Ephesians. This week's shooting, we're obviously diving into each piece. But in between these two videos, my oldest daughter, McKenna, comes up to me, and on her water bottle, typical Colorado fashion, we have stickers all over our water bottles, and, Nalgene, North Face, and, hiking boots. But she comes up to me with her water bottle, and I'm in the kitchen, and she says, what does this Bible verse mean? And on the water bottle, it's Ephesians 6, and it says, put on the armor of God. She's like, I don't understand that. So we literally sat down and talked exactly how we're talking right now about what that means. And of course, Troy and I are coming from, military, former team, former law enforcement, whatever. And so we're coming from this lens, but for everybody, for every person out there. And my daughter, my 12-year-old daughter, we're sitting here talking about it, and she's like, wow. She's like, I mean, we were just in the kitchen. She's like, I never thought of it that way. I didn't know what that meant. And so for us to sit down like father and daughter was just a really cool moment to be able to share that. And it's just it gave me chills again. I keep saying that, but it gave me chills like last week, because it was just perfectly placed. And she's had that sticker in her water bottle for a couple of years now, honestly. And it was just a really fun moment between the dad and his oldest daughter. It was really rad.
Gosh, that is so awesome. I'm glad you shared that. I'm so pumped you told me, and thanks for sharing. And guys, I hope that encourages you as well. I wanted to leave you guys with that, because I'm like, not only is it for yourself, but you start doing these daily, you start working these muscles daily, and you start putting this on, your family's going to start noticing, and opportunities are going to start presenting themselves. Like, Tyler, you got to sit down with your oldest daughter and explain that. Like, man, what a cool opportunity. So look for those opportunities as well, guys. Get your armor on for you, and then get your armor on for your family. Start seeing what happens within your own walls, and then watch what happens outside of the walls too. It's going to be transformation, guys. So I'm so glad you guys are along the ride, along the journey with us. Again, push this out to as many people as you want. We're out here sharing from the heart. So we love you guys, and I don't say this lightly. I do pray for everybody that watches this video. I might not personally know you, but if you're watching this video, I pray generically over that almost daily. I just pray for anybody that comes across this video. So thank you for watching. Thanks for sharing. Love you guys. Signing off.